Are we live?
Yeah.
That was easy.
All right, let's have some fun today. We're gonna goof around a little bit and look at a few maneuver videos and talk about some stuff. First thing came to mind, we were just getting ready to go fly, had everything ready, got cameras set up, we had our whole plan. We were gonna go shoot some videos right here in front of the hangar, and we were gonna do air taxi, service taxi, quick stop, and one or two others we had on the list, and we had everything set up and the cameras ready for Heather, and I had the cameras ready inside, so we'd have both inside and outside footage. Got everything ready to go, and then it just starts dumping down rain. So I was kind of bummed. I thought, you know what? We can roll some older videos to tell you that we are updating videos now inside the site. Many of you already know that. And the big news is, if you don't know yet, Brian Rutledge, who I mention occasionally off and on, half for years, has been our operations manager for quite a few years. We've been friends 7 years, is going full-time for HOGS Monday. This is March, whatever, 18, 19. So Brian was gonna start the end of the month, but he retired a little bit early. He's gung-ho to get inside helicopter and ground school. Yeah, the economy's going nuts, but you know what? We're going strong, we're gonna keep going strong, and I called Brian over the weekend and said, we're charging forward regardless. And we're gonna do our best to keep moving forward. And Brian's been waiting for this for years, and so have I. And he's, if you don't know, 30-year aviator, 25 years with the Sheriff's Department, 15 years with the Sheriff's Department Aviation Unit, and he's CFI airplane helicopter and runs both of those, or has up until this month. So last night, Brian goes, hey, or within the last couple of nights, he goes, hey, how about, let me think, last night, he goes, what are you guys gonna shoot tomorrow? And I go, oh, I don't know. I go, just about every maneuver in the site I wanna reshoot, just because with time, you know, we get better, we get more advanced, we have better equipment, my skills are better. And I'm like, I really wanna shoot about every one of them. I go, but the couple of the worst that I wanted to shoot, or I shouldn't say worst, the ones that I wanted to do immediately was hover taxi, air taxi, quick stop, go around, surface taxi. And he said, well, hey, I've been working on something, and I'll just walk over here and show you. He goes, how about we build a download for every single maneuver. And I'm like, that sounds cool. And he goes, something that we can put inside the site, and it'll follow what the maneuver is and how we're stating the maneuver should be, and then we'll put the download below the video. And that people can look down and read it. They could download it. You could actually take them and print them and put them in your own notebook if you wanted to. But I'll just show you what he sent me last night. And he goes, well, why don't you show that tomorrow if you guys go shoot a new video? So, can you see that in the camera, Heather? I don't have a monitor in front of me.
Yeah, can't really read it, but.
Okay, well this is what we're talking about. Just a simple download. And this one he's got air taxi and quick stop both on it. And we'll break it down because he was saying, you know, you can do an air taxi and go right into a quick stop, which is a pretty good idea. And he said, well, he goes, let me send this to you. And he goes, you look at it. If you guys go shoot a video tomorrow, then you can show everybody and say, hey, this is what we're going to start doing for you. So this is one of the many things that, you know, we've talked about for a long time that Brian wants to do. He's big on downloads. He's got a lot of really good stuff. And it won't be just this area. It'll be a lot of different areas that we'll be adding stuff. So I hear Heather typing over there, so I want to see who's here. Daniel, as always. Hello, Daniel. Kevin, nice. Wash your hands, Hogs. Good to see more vids. Kenny and Heather, yep. We are adamant about washing our hands. When I walk in the door, I wash my hands. I gave Heather the talk yesterday, the day before, last week. When I was in EMS, we had a check airman said, guys, I haven't been sick in 20 years. I never, ever, ever put my hands to my face, my nose, my ear, nothing. I don't touch my face without washing my hands. And he goes, yeah, it's a pain in the butt, and I haven't even had the common cold in 20 years. So I've been practicing that. I kind of tried to practice it anyway. I'm not a total germaphobe, but I think about those things, right? Like if I'm in the bathroom at the Taco Bell and I wash my hands and then I get a towel, then I'm like, I don't want to touch the doorknob going out, right? So I'm like flipping the lid closed on the toilet with my foot, and I'm like, okay, can I take the paper towel, open the door, use my elbow, and throw it in the trash? Those kind of things I already did. So now I'm a little more of a germaphobe at the moment. Who else we got? Ligamat Corporation. Hello from Florida. Awesome. CW Fox. I don't think we haven't seen CW Fox in a while. Snowstorm. Ooh, that sucks. I'm glad we only have rain and not a snowstorm. But hey, good to see you, CW Fox. Alfie One Ear. Hi from France. Nice. Hello, France. That's awesome. Always love seeing people coming in from outside the U.S. Love seeing our U.S. people, but man, people log in from all over the country or all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's freaking awesome, and we love it. So, I want to talk real quick about FOD. How much of you guys really think about this? Just when I went outside today to check the ramp real quick, what do I find? Just some trash, right? But you pick that up and get it to the trash can, right? Because that stuff can get sucked up in an air filter, it can get stuck on a blade. And then look at what else I found out on the ramp today. And just to show you, there's some kind of a bolt that's sheared off. All right, now I'm 95% sure that did not, well, I'm 99.9% sure that did not come off the Enstrom. But immediately it makes me go, okay, where the hell did that come from? I go out there and check the ramp often, and I'm like, here it is laying 2 feet outside the door. So I haven't found where it went yet, but I've been looking on the garage door. I'm positive it didn't come off the Enstrom. But in my mind, where'd that come from? You know, vehicle, aircraft, is there a problem developing with the door? We did a video on the Coffee with Kenny series about how much you can get hurt just around the hangar. We hurt Heather's foot last summer with the stupid helicopter dolly. So be thinking about FOD when you're pulling your aircraft out. Look around, check the ramp. Always be looking at what kind of stuff can get knocked over, blown up into your air cleaners. What kind of stuff's laying on the ramp, nut, bolt, washer there. Did that go to the aircraft? Where's that coming from? All right, cool. Scott Farkas. Scott won something last week, didn't he? Scott, hey, yeah, for those of you the last couple of weeks, since this month, we've been doing a lot of giveaways, books, t-shirts. Send us a picture. When you get your book that we sent it to you for free. We gave these away and we paid the shipping. Do us a favor and just send us a pic and we'll throw it up on Instagram, because Heather runs the Instagram. We can throw it up on Instagram. Send us a picture if you got either one of those books that we sent you, or you got a t-shirt we sent out to you. We've given a bunch of them away. Send us a pic. And while we're thinking about that, let's give something away at the end today. Okay. I'll let you pick and then be thinking of a question we can ask them. All right, so back to the task at hand. So what I was telling you was Brian wants to put a download with every single maneuver, along with a bunch of other downloads. And inside the HOGS site, each video has an opportunity for audio downloads and also file downloads. So these will be attached underneath the video. So first, let's roll. We're going to roll a few videos today, and these are the videos that are currently in the site that are going to be changed here very soon. So we'll roll through the video, and if anybody's here, you want to talk about maneuvers or anything you're struggling with that particular maneuver, let's talk about it. So Heather, go up and bring up the first one, hover taxi, and we'll roll through that video, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. So go ahead and roll that one. Heather?
Clear my tail on the right. Clear on the right.
Clearing the tail left and right for every turn. A lot of people that I train later make comments about, oh, I'm not doing all that tail clearing anymore, I'm not training anymore. Well, we do that because even experienced pilots, EMS pilots, go out all the time and turn their tails into trees, wires, vehicles, hangar doors. So it doesn't matter how many years you're flying or how experienced you are, people still turn their tail into stuff. And that's why in all the training we do, everything is stop, clear the tail, left-hand turn. Stop, clear the tail, right-hand turn. Always clearing that tail. Because even in a small airport like we're at now, you never know when a fuel truck, somebody on a mower, I've had that happen right up behind us when we were practicing hover autos, right underneath the rotor system, went right past us. Other people had cars drive right past us, coming up from behind, even at these small airports. You have to always clear that tail left and right all the time.
Now we use the yellow line, stay parallel with that. Collective controls your height above the ground. Pedals to stay parallel with the yellow line. Cyclic for your speed. Yellow clear left. We'll go out and do a normal takeoff and a normal landing. A little slower. I wouldn't hover that fast with the examiner. Speed of a brisk walk. Right. Stay away from them obstacles, you know. Keep a good, safe distance from anything sticking up out of the ground. Stay well away from it.
Okay.
Safety, 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 safety.
No clear left.
Okay, I said don't taxi that fast with the examiner. Don't taxi that fast anytime. Again, if you lose that engine during a hover, you want to be slow, smooth, parallel with the line that you're moving. Hovering too fast is going to get you in trouble. You start hovering too fast with a tailwind, it's going to get you in trouble. Stay away from all these obstacles out there on the airport. There are so many things. Taxiway lights, signs, all kinds of stuff sticking up out of the ground. You got to be so careful of all this stuff to avoid dynamic rollover.
All right. Yes, Alfie, I did get that picture. We'll make sure Heather gets that up on the Instagram. And Daniel, I saw Brian download Rutledge. He'll like that. We'll be calling him that before it's over with. So, anybody questions? Anybody got a question about a hover taxi? A little quick review with the helicopter. Speed of a brisk walk. It is the commonly used in the industry. Speed of a brisk walk. Looking outside, using your collective to control your height above the ground, your pedals to keep your nose parallel with the line on the ground, your cyclic to do your speed. That's the way it should be. All right, so that was the first one that Brian put up. And again, I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing because Brian said, hey, let me just show you a draft, and then you can check it and see what you think as far as the way you teach. And like on Quick Stop, you know, he's using 45 knots at 25 feet. That's okay. I use, and what I've used for years is 40 and 40. In the Enstrom, we use mile per hour, so it's 40 mile per hour, and I do 40 feet above the ground. Depending on where you're at in the world, those numbers may change a little bit. And the thing I told Brian is, you know, just like quick stops, there's a million ways of teaching quick stops, and I harp that all the time. We're going to put down a basic procedure in these downloads, and a lot of them will be ones that Brian wrote, right? So just because we say 45 and 25 doesn't mean that's what you have to use. At your school, they might use that. They might use something a little more, a little less, whatever the case is. But, you know, these downloads, as we prepare them, they're going to be basically in general, all the major steps, because the way you fly the aircraft isn't going to change a whole lot. The maneuvers themselves, they don't really change a lot between make and model of helicopter. They really don't. An airspeed might change, or a height, and how much you move the controls. All that's going to vary just a little bit, but the essence of the maneuvers are the same. So we'll make sure in these new downloads with the new videos, they'll be built to basically the way that I fly it, right? Just because I've been teaching the same way for 20 years and using the same numbers. So just because I say 40 and 40, you might be 30 and 20 or whatever the case is. But the essence of these maneuvers will be the same. All right. Well, what do we got next? Air taxi. Yep, go ahead and roll air taxi, Heather, and then we'll be back.
Okay, show me an air taxi and just tell me about it, what I need to know, what I need to not know.
Okay, I'm going to do a normal takeoff. With the exception, I'm going to hold it at less than 100 feet and 50 miles per hour and not overfly persons or property.
There you go. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take this opportunity to show me another quick stop. You count it off and do it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
There you go. I like this much better. Much better. That's kind of what I was looking for. There you go. Forward cyclic, raise conduct. Now that's much better. Did that not feel better to you?
Yeah.
Those other couple we did, we were ballooning up before you even entered it. What you just did there was much better. I like that a lot better. All right, there's 47 minutes. I don't know about you, but I'm basically ready to quit.
All right. Howdy from California. Awesome. How you doing, Robert? Glad to have you here. Hey, do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up button right down below the video. See that little thing down there like this? Click on that for us, would you? Do us a favor. And if you're one of our followers, get your friends watching some of our videos. Give us a like and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to see some more people in here. The next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff with Brian Rutledge starting full-time on Monday. We're going to try to come up with some live events to do over the next 2 weeks. Maybe some trivia, do some flashcard stuff. We're just going to try to come up with some things to do that we can be productive, have some fun, keep helicopter things fresh in your mind. We know what's going on in the world, and in the next couple of weeks, a lot of people aren't getting out and venturing much, but it's a great time to study. You know, it's a great time to sit back and hone those skills. Maybe you're not going to go to the flight school for the next 2 weeks. Why not take the time to really study, jump in HOGS and refresh your memory, or join us live and talk about some stuff. So thank you. Click thumbs up. Yes, Daniel, thank you very much. So what would we just do? Yeah, we just did air taxi. Air taxi real simply. What's that, Heather?
Sorry.
Real simply, air taxi. What I have taught all these years is just a normal takeoff. Textbook, unless it's changed, is no faster than 50, no higher than 100 feet. And while you're doing that on your private pilot check ride, the examiner will probably say, so what do I need to know about an air taxi? Do not overfly persons or property on the surface, no higher than 100, no faster than 50. And then I usually just, at the end of the air taxi, I just do a normal approach down to the ground. Brian mentioned that that's a good time during a air taxi to practice a quick stop, which that is true. You could be out there doing some practice, and you could be going along in an air taxi, turn into a quick stop, and then land. My examiner I've used for 20 years, he does that a lot of the time. His flights during the private pilot check ride are 0.7. They come out 0.7 every single time because he'll combine maneuvers like that, right? Where, oh, hey, show me an air taxi. So you get up there, gets going along. What do I need to know? You tell him what you need to know. Hey, show me a quick stop. Whoosh, boom, quick stop. You just did 2 maneuvers in one. In one take, you got 2 things done out of the PTS. So that is a good idea for training, something the examiner might want you to do. And we're going to do a go-around video in a minute, and the go-arounds I want to harp on some more. I've been harping on it this week specifically. And the go-around, if you're setting up your maneuver on your private pilot check ride, and it's early, and it's all ugly, it's perfectly acceptable with my examiner for you to go, you know what, I got this kind of ugly, I'm going to go around, set it up again. He'll go, great, we just took care of the go-around. Now, don't screw it up the next time, right? Come around, get yourself ready, and start it. Now, it doesn't mean you can save it. You've had a sloppy all the way approach it to the end, and then try to go around. He's probably going to fail you, okay? But good way to get through that maneuver. The Big Bill Theory. How you doing, Big Bill Theory? All right, so that was a recap on the air taxi. Don't see any questions. Anybody struggling with any of these maneuvers? If you are and you're here, type in there what you're struggling with, and we could talk about it a little bit more. So the next one, this is really super short, but I'm going to have Heather roll it anyway. It is surface taxi. This is some old video. This is the helicopter that I used to own from way back, shot from up in the offices where I used to be. Anyway, go ahead and roll that, Heather, and we'll talk a little bit about surface taxi.
This task applies only to helicopters equipped with wheel-type landing gear. So even though it is in the PTS as a maneuver, if you're not flying a helicopter with wheel-type landing gear, then this does not apply to you and you won't do it for the check ride. It's good to know how to do a surface taxi, but again, it's not going to be required on the private pilot check ride.
All right, I am going to shoot that new. Again, that video is really, really old. And as I state in the video, for the private pilot, for a skid, they don't do that. And they could change that sometime in the future. But I will do one, and that was one we had planned for today that I was going to do right out here in front of the hangar, and Heather could film right from the open door of the hangar. But I'll do one, and we'll put a brand new video in there. And basically, a lot of people don't necessarily practice these a lot since it's not a maneuver for the private unless you have wheel-type landing gear. But in essence, it's basically getting the aircraft light in the skids and just moving it forward without ever letting the skids leave the ground and then bringing it to a stop. So it's learning how to get the aircraft light, sliding it forward to where you need to move it, and then stop. We don't do them either a lot just because, again, it's not required for the private. And, you know, the owners of the helicopter, they pay for those skid shoes, right? And every time you're sliding that thing on the ground on a surface taxi or a shallow approach, you're grinding those things off the bottom. So a lot of times owners are a little bit, you know, kind of iffy about scraping their skids across the ground. All right, that looks fun. That was fun. In that video, we cleared about 4 inches of snow off almost that entire ramp. When we went out there that day, if you saw the rest of the footage, and we could show that sometime if you want to see it, I have a snow video where we pull the helicopter out and you can see the truck, my pickup truck pulling it out. There's legitimately like this much snow on the ground. So I filmed how starting on a dolly with a lot of snow in the area, how I just got everything light on the skids, but start applying enough collective that we weren't coming up, but that we were getting the downforce from the rotor system, and clear all the really loose snow away so that it doesn't roll up and then you end up losing visibility when you go to pick up because you can't see. So there are several different methods that people use for picking up and setting down in snow. And that's one fun kind of video that we should show sometime in the next week or two. It's just kind of fun to watch how, before I was done, I'd cleaned that whole entire area of snow. All right, I don't see any other questions. We got go around. That's a pretty short video. Let's pull that up and roll that one, Heather, and we'll talk about go arounds a little bit.
And if you don't have it set up right, you feel go around. We're slow, we're at 50. I wouldn't enter it. I'd just go around. Okay. RPM's low, airspeed's low, got a rate of descent going. What is that? That's entering sloppy. You enter it like that, it'll be all the way down. So you just initiate a go around. Which just make a radio call. I'm going around, grit your airspeed. You can go ahead and turn whenever you want. You got plenty of altitude. You got your 300 AGL. Okay. So you can go ahead and turn now.
Traffic helicopter 25 kilo will be going around right traffic for runway 10.
Good setup. That's why you've heard me say it, what, 50 times now? 100 in the last 6 months? Good setup. If you enter it nice, it'll be nice. Enter it sloppy, gonna be sloppy. Doesn't mean you can't enter a sloppy and pull it out of your ass and make it work. It's just not gonna be pretty.
Right, yeah, we could have autoed it there, but we probably wouldn't have hit the numbers.
Well, and you were entering at 50, you'd have been entering at 50.
I'd have had to go forward.
All right, when you do that, you go forward, then your RPM drops. So then you're chasing your RPM, and then you're chasing your speed. And all the way down, you're going like this.
Traffic helicopter 25 kilo will be on right downwind for runway 10. Limit traffic.
All right, glad to see a few questions there. Let me catch them real quick. From Daniel, I would think you would really have to watch out for dynamic rollover. So Daniel, I'm sure you're talking about the snow picking up and setting down. Absolutely. Helicopters get wrecked from brownouts and whiteouts. Either way, it can happen in dust and it can happen in snow. And I talk about these extensively inside Helicopter Landing Ground School. I've talked about it in our Coffee with Kenny videos. So yes, picking up and setting down or landing and taking off in snow or dust can be a problem. Depending on where you are in the world and what you're flying, any school might have a specific method. For snow, I always like just staying near the ground and getting rid of the loose stuff before I lift up, even if that takes 2, 3, or 4, or 5 minutes. And then coming in, I do the method of, I start way up high, a good hover, like maybe 50 feet, then maybe go down to 40, and you'd be surprised at how much snow you'll start moving when you're up high, giving myself the opportunity to fly away if it gets really bad, but just gently coming down little by little bit, and then watching how much snow am I moving away until you can actually see the ground. And then you know you can come on down safely. There's some other methods too. Some other people like a fast, right through it and down to the ground. I'm not as comfortable with that one, but depending on where you're flying and who you're flying with, they may have their own methods on that. Should you be concerned about doing that without snow baffles? In the Instrom, no problem. Flying a Jet Ranger, yeah, you probably ought to have the snow baffles in. Jet Rangers, for example, have a stipulation set up in the handbook on when the snow baffle should go on. Enstrom, doesn't have snow baffles, and I've never had a problem with that, me specifically. If I'm right, it shouldn't be much issue going forward, most sideways, right? Anytime you're picking up and setting down, right? And that's why I teach and always have a little bit of forward movement, right? As long as you're doing this, you're fine. Anytime you go to slide sideways, whether it's a normal pickup and setting down, or you're in dust, or you're in snow, or anytime, there's always that danger of dynamic rollover, right? And whether it's or terrain issues or whatever, hot pavement, busted up pavement, there's a million things that can cause a helicopter to roll over. Anytime you're doing this, as long as you're controlled, it's not, very rarely is it ever going to be a problem. Going sideways, yes, you can do dynamic rollover. And you can get stuck going backwards too. If you're sliding backwards, you can get caught and you can, jam the tail rotor down against the ground too. So, I was in that school of thought always, even when I was learning, I always found it a little bit easier to just use a little bit of forward movement setting down. Same thing picking up. And I know on the one check ride, I think my private, the guy's like, well, what are you doing? Why are you doing that forward movement? And I said, just because it makes it a little bit easier. He's like, well, show me you can do it straight down. And I did, and he was happy. But to this day, I always use a little bit of forward movement when I set down, and even a little bit when I pick up. It's just what I do. I just can't help it. Ingrained in me. Okay, I'll see another question there. So what do we got? We just did go around, right? So I want to talk about go around just real quick. As a young instructor, I was teaching them, and I was good at teaching them, and I was making sure I did one every time I did an hour with somebody. I was making them go around. Throughout my career, at one point I started getting a little laxed on teaching them, and then I started seeing problems with my students because I wasn't teaching the go around enough. And I'm going to give you an example. Let's say this represents my landing spot on the runway, right? So every time you're coming in with a student, let's say this is the numbers 2-8. The red, that's 2-8. It's flat with the runway, right? I want to shoot these approaches. The one guy who I got a little laxed on teaching go-arounds, he'd be messing up his approach. He'd go like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and shoot it up past a little bit. Well, you let somebody get away with it once, and then pretty soon he's doing it frequently, right? And so I had to tell myself, look, I need to teach him, this is our spot we're landing to. If the approach isn't right, go around and try it again. Because what happens is if you don't have a good solid spot during your pattern training, and you let somebody get in the habit of, oh, well, I'll just go ahead and go a little bit past. Then I'll just go a little bit farther past, right? So you're teaching them it's okay to mess up an approach and just pick a better spot. I don't think that's good for training. I think that's why now when I'm out and I'm in a pattern with somebody, I want a distinct spot where we're landing at, like the numbers. Or if we're using the taxiway, some distinct spot or a mark or something. Being generic with your landing spot, not being clear with it, you can't fly consistently to a spot. So I think the go-arounds are important early in your training to make you understand that when you're shooting those approaches to land your spot, you want perfection. And if it's not going to be right, you go around and do it again. Set it up again. It's so helpful in so many forms, but not just in training, it helps you in the real world too. And I flew EMS for 5 years, and I would do the check rides each year with the examiners for the 135 check rides, or the check airmen we called them. And setting up confined areas, if I didn't like it, I'd go around. And each time they'd go, boy, we wish more pilots would do that, because so many times, guys have that macho attitude. Well, I'll make it. I'll get it in there. The worst thing is to take an approach that's not going so well and just go, I'm gonna do it, right? You're too slow, your rate of ascent's too high, things aren't looking good. Just flipping, go around and do it again. So how much, I'd like to know, somebody chime in here of the 21 that's watching. If you're actively getting instruction, are your instructors teaching you go-arounds? And are you doing them maybe like once a lesson? How much are your instructors preaching go-arounds? I hope to hear often. I would really, really hope to hear often. So we'll give you a chance to answer on that. And Heather, pull up the last video we're going to show. Is quick stop. And again, these are older videos, all getting replaced. We're actively shooting and planning these. These videos are all getting shot. some with inside and outside footage, some with 2 cameras from the inside with stabilizers. Heather's been helping me. We've been practicing up our skills on getting 2 nice shots from the inside. I can't stand the old GoPro behind the heads. I hate that shot. I absolutely hate it. So we're reshooting them all, and Brian Rutledge is building downloads, and we're gonna have downloads for every single maneuver that you can download, you can read, you can make your own little notebook if you want. So that's why we're doing this today, to talk about the new videos coming in and the new downloads. So let's roll that last video.
Okay, now I want you to do a normal takeoff and then show me a quick stop.
Okay, one of the things one of my instructors taught me a long time ago was that maybe we shouldn't call them quick stops, maybe we should call them slow stops. Typical thing of what a guy does or what a person does is they get going, get ready to initiate the quick stop, and they go 1, 2, 3, quick stop. And because it's called quick stop, they yank the cyclic back, pull it back, put a great big flare on it, they jerk the collective. Well, the point is, it's a slow stop. It's not a quick stop. Doesn't mean you jerk the controls. You slowly deaccelerate the helicopter, but don't get it too aggressive with it.
Initiate quick stop on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Down collective. Right pedal.
Forward cyclic. Let's do them not quite so high. Let's try more like this. I got the controls.
Okay, you got the controls.
Look at your airspeed and your altimeter. Let's do about more like 40 and 40, something more like this. 1, 2, 3, quick stop. I don't really want to be that high when you do it. And that's what we did last time. We did one down there, and I can show you on the video. We were way high. Something a little more like that.
Okay.
I just want to add to the end of this one, there's a million ways of doing quick stop. Guys teach them tons of different ways. Doesn't mean one instructor is right over another instructor. Again, depends on the condition, what you're flying. The maneuver is still basically done the same. It's just the method of guys do it, as far as when to pull collective. Can you pull it during the flare? Do you wait until you level the aircraft? I'm not going to go into all that because that really does depend on a way a guy is teaching. And there's so many ways to do a quick stop that there's a million ways to do it. As long as it's smooth and it's safe and you're getting the aircraft slowed down in a safe manner, then there's really no issue. There really truly is a million ways of doing quick stops.
All I can say is I'm glad those videos are going away. It's good content, and it's the stuff I've been teaching for years, but I'm glad those are disappearing and brand new ones are coming back. I want to answer Michael. I appreciate you, Michael, for putting that in there. My instructor's focus is usually on the ability to correct, if far enough out to correct safely. When we're too close to correct safely, we go around. Sounds good. I'm not going to criticize it. I'm going to say what I teach is good setup. If the setup's not good, go around and do it again. If the setup is good and you start flying it down, and then it gets a little ugly, I think that's what you're talking about, what you guys are doing there, then going away. But if it's sloppy in the beginning, I wouldn't start it, you know? Start them, set them up nice. If it ain't set up nice, go around and do it again. Set it up again. All right, but thanks for chiming in, Michael. Good to hear. Well, that's it for our videos, right?
Yep.
And we just talked about quick stop, and I harp on this all the time, and I want to hit it one more time. I said it in the beginning of the video, and I'm going to say it again. My examiner has said over and over and over again, there's a million ways of teaching a quick stop. A million ways. As long as the maneuver is safe and within tolerances, it's fine. And I talked earlier about how I like to use 40 and 40, but that's just as a standard practice. Throughout a private pilot, somebody who I'm working with as a private pilot, taking them from beginning all the way to their license, 40 and 40 is the standard, but I'll have them do them when you're just barely taking off. I'll have them do them at altitude. I'll have them do it at different air speeds and altitudes, because a quick stop can be any airspeed, any altitude. It could be a little mini quick stop. You're just taking off. Oh, an airplane just pulled out in front of you. Okay, little baby quick stop. Or it could be you could be clear at 60 and you're climbing out and something ahead of you, flock of birds. Quick stop could happen. So it's important to understand we use a standard for training but it doesn't mean it has to be done that way every single time. Like a quick stop, it can be taught many different ways. You could use different airspeeds and altitudes as long as the maneuver is safe. And some people, their quick stops, they'll get real super aggressive. Some people are more conservative. It depends on the wind, depends on the situation. There's a million ways this thing can come out, and the coordination can be a little bit different. You know, I basically get moving. I like to flare, 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 keep holding, keep holding, keep holding. And then when it starts to descend, I like to level and raise. Some people do it differently. Not everybody does it exactly like that. Again, as long as you're quickly deaccelerating the helicopter and you're doing it safely, I don't think it matters a whole lot. And one other thing I want to say, and then we'll get out of here, slow stop. One of the guys I flew with early on, one of my instructors said, you know, we probably shouldn't call it quick stop. We should call it slow stop. And I like that, and I wrote that in my notebook because since I got controls here, and what's the tendency in your mind? Quick stop. And you're flying along with your instructor goes, okay, quick stop, and you go, whoa, you know, put these big abrupt inputs in there. The control inputs for a quick stop should be nice and gentle, nice and smooth. So calling it quick stop, it could put an idea in a person's mind where they go, you know, My quick stops are really super smooth, and I don't get real aggressive with them. I like, you know, the more conservative. But regardless, quick stop can give you the idea it has to happen fast. It doesn't have to happen. Damn it! It doesn't have to happen really, really fast. Most of the time, especially in practice. So I see a couple of things I need to comment on there. All right, we got Paul, who's here almost every single time. Can get into sling with power if you start the maneuver too high. If you were in the conditions for sling with power, but I've never really worried about sling with power in quick stop. The way I do them into the wind. I don't do them downwind. I never do them downwind. If I've ever done a downwind in my life, it's because I made a mistake and misjudged the wind. But for me personally, the way I do them, it's never really been that big of a concern. Michael, he will generally say that we have enough speed. He will generally say that we have enough speed and altitude to correct it. So let's correct it. Yeah, good. You know, and I'm not going to criticize because I'm not there, and that could be great advice. I guess the moral of the story is, when things are ugly, go around and don't try to save it when it's going ugly. Because I don't want the selling of power issue to come in because you've made a bad approach. You got too high a rate of a descent, your airspeed got too slow, and you should have just flew around and come back and made it in safely, and you get yourself in a bad position and crash the helicopter because you got it selling with power. And I will say this, that gentleman who I wasn't the best at teaching go-arounds, he wasn't one of my best students ever, and he is the one, I haven't talked about this in quite a while, that on his solo flight, I gave him a specific direction. I want him going this way, taking off to the east and going around. He's out flying for a while. I'm up in my office, and I hear him, but I'm not seeing him. And he switched the pattern on me because he was a fixed wing guy, and he started landing downwind. And I looked out the window as he's going past my window, way too high, way too slow, starts descending, gets into selling with power, and I watched it happen. I watched him smack the ground. I thought the helicopter was going to be destroyed. I thought he was going to lose it. He slammed against the ground, bounced it back up in the air. The rotor blade took a swath out of the dirt. It got so crazy. And then I looked away because I'm like screaming. And I'm just, you know, oh my God, my career's over. I'm worried that he's going to lose his life. The aircraft's smashed. My career's over. And I hear it run, and I look up, and there he is, hover taxiing in. And I'm like, I ran outside, and this guy, he was a good friend of mine, and he was a tough individual, and I got out to the aircraft, and he's sitting there. The headsets are on the floor because, of course, he hit the ground so hard it flew off his head. They come flying down, and he was just sitting there. Luckily, he locked the controls, and he had his hands in his face. He was so disgusted with himself. And so, you know, my heart's racing. I climb in the helicopter, and I'm thinking, okay, God, this thing's got to have a crack in a blade or in the frame. There's got to be damage. What should I do? He's not even speaking. And I'm thinking, well, I'll just get it up on the dolly. As long as when I pick it up, it feels smooth, I'm gonna pick it up, get on the dolly and get it inside. And I did, picked it up, didn't seem to be anything wrong with it. I put it in the hangar and we went in and talked and he screwed up. Fixed wing pilot doing an add-on. He knew what I wanted him to do. He knew the direction I wanted him to take off, but there were parachuters that were dropping in and he wanted to avoid the parachuters, so he changed his routine, started landing downwind, got too slow, too high, started descending, panicked, and just got in a sling with power, and I watched it slam and hit the ground. It scared me so bad, one of the worst things ever happened to me in my career, and it was because he screwed it up, and he should have went around. And I remember seeing him, and I'm thinking, okay, now he's to the point where he's got power lines, businesses, and I'm going, go around, go around. I'm thinking, go pull power, go around, and he doesn't. I think he just froze and got into it. So why am I telling you that story? I don't know. Because that's why it's so freaking important to follow the good basics of the sailing with power, the vortex ring state, all the things that we know that get you into it. It's just so freaking important. Maybe catch up on comments here. Harley, good content. Awesome. Scott, I like smooth stop. Smooth stop, slow stop, quick stop. Yep, good. Gentle stop. Yep. Michael, we're slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Everything we do is slow and smooth. Every single thing that we do is slow and smooth. Nothing is ever abrupt. We talked about that yesterday. And our boat guy's making a bunch of noise in the background. All right, we're about done anyway. So let's see. There is a difference between quick stop and emergency stop. Well, there's not an emergency stop, I don't believe, in the helicopter flying handbook. Did you read that in there? I don't think so. I don't really even know the term emergency stop. You know, a quick stop is a quick stop. If you have to quickly deaccelerate the helicopter, it's a quick stop. Now, you might have to do it more quicker than normal because there's an actual problem that pulled out in front of you, but does anybody know of an actual emergency stop printed anywhere? I don't know if I've ever actually heard the emergency stop. Scott, airspeed equals airspeed minus tailwind. Yeah, tailwind never. Don't do it. I don't train for it. Never do it. I've had gurus arguing with me, oh, but we train downwind landings. And it's like, my 20 years, even in 5 years of EMS, I never had to land downwind, ever. I was never forced to land downwind. Maybe an area was hard to get into, but maybe I could at least do it with a crosswind, or I could pick another spot somewhere nearby with a bigger area that I could get in and out of. 20 years, I have never been forced to land downwind. I don't teach it. I don't authorize it. I don't plan for it. I don't train for it. And the only way I would have ever landed downwind is if I made a mistake. And I have made a mistake and thought the wind was going one way and it changed on me. And I've landed downwind, but I didn't do it on purpose. And I can feel it, and you can feel it too. As you get experienced in the aircraft, when you start landing with the wind behind you, you're gonna know it. You're gonna notice things don't feel quite right. You're gonna notice shuddering, and that's when I've usually caught it. When a couple times that I've done it by accident, I'm like, something's funny here. Something's fishy. This don't feel right. I'm coming in faster. I'm pulling more power than normal. I know things aren't right. You can feel it. Once you get used to your aircraft and you go to downwind, God dang it, land downwind, you'll feel it. Hard for you in the beginning, but you will get there. All right, LZ, safe stop. Jim, too high, too low, too fast, too slow. Michael, we occasionally find ourselves in air taxi with a tailwind. Ooh, that's not good. Why are you doing an air taxi with a tailwind? I don't condone an air taxi with a tailwind. I never would. If you're out training and let's say you're down here let's say you're over here. You're down here. Hangar's back over here, right? And you're quite a ways away. Wind's coming this way. Some people do it. They turn around and they pick up and they hover taxi, air taxi, downwind all the way back to the hangar, and the whole time they're wiggling their tail, and there's all kinds of dangerous things can happen. I have always taught since day one, because I was taught this. You're down here, hangar's over here, you want to go back to the hangar because you're done. Take off into the wind, go around, fly, do a landing, go to the hangar. That's an example. I don't do anything downwind. I don't do quick stops downwind. I don't do air taxi downwind. If it's downwind and I want to get there, I might do a hover taxi, low and slow downwind. But I wouldn't do an air taxi downwind. I mean, and if that's what he wants to do, that's his prerogative. But I wouldn't air taxi with tailwind. Wouldn't do it. Forced auto rotation, emergency stop. In an emergency, you do whatever it takes. In an emergency, you do whatever it takes. You stick with the basics, but yeah. Slow down, Kenny. What's that all about? Forced auto rotation, emergency stop. Yeah, we covered that already. All right. Well, heck, let's get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Oh yeah, we're going to give away top 10 check ride tips.
Or whatever one they want, if they want to choose.
No, listen. Top 10 check ride tips. What is our nickname for the Instrum? We say it all the time. I say it all the time. Heather mentions it quite often. What is our nickname for the Instrum helicopter in the background? While we're waiting for somebody to come up with that answer, 50%. We brought back the sale to the end of the month due to the circumstances going on in the world. 50% off. There you go. Daniel got it. Cream puff. Daniel, do you already have top 10 check ride tips? Paul got it second. Daniel's probably got it. Daniel, do you have that? If not, or yes, do you have this? Cream puff. Yep, Scott got it too. Or Daniel, do you have a t-shirt? Do you have all three? Let us know. Email Heather at Helicopter Ground. She'll take care of you. She'll send you something. If you got both books, do you have a t-shirt? And if you already have a t-shirt, we'll send you our no-go button when they get here. We've got one no-go button going out to Paul, I believe, right? Paul gets the first no-go button when it arrives. So Daniel, if you've got both books and a t-shirt, we will send you the second. We'll send you the second no-go button. All right. Hey, we brought back the sale. Heather, Brian, and I all discussed it, and we said to the end of the month, we brought back the 50% off the first month of a monthly membership or the Big Professional Pilot. It's KK50 off. The link's down below this video. You can see right down there. You can go straight to the link. KK50 or 50 will show you the discounted price. And we're doing it to keep us moving forward, keep the business moving forward, give a break to somebody who's at home studying and maybe wanted to get the sale and didn't make it, or maybe they want to get the training now because they want to brush up while many people are stuck at home. You may not be traveling to the flight school. Now's a good time to sign up to HOGS and refresh those things that you're working on. So many people do additional ratings, instrument rating, members come back. So members, if you're a past member and you're watching now and you want to come back to work on that instrument ground, sign back up for the instrument course. Very, very, very common that people are coming back to work on their additional ratings as they go. And always remember, it's sign up anytime, cancel anytime, come back anytime. We always part as friends. That's it. So subscribe to the channel. Click that little subscribe button when you do. Give us a thumbs up down there, that thumbs up thing. Click that. And if you didn't like it, make sure when you click that dislike button, you do it twice. Click it once and then click it again. Peace out.